relation tales. I have 3 children, 2 daughters, ages 5 and 8, and a 15-year-old son. Recently, I found out that my wife has been having an affair with the father of one of my middle daughter's friends. This is especially troubling because all of my children have spent time with this man in different ways. At first, I didn't think much of my wife taking our daughter to his house for playdates. However, 2 days ago, while my wife was in the shower, I saw a suspicious message on her phone from someone. Let's call him Omi couldn't open her phone because it uses facial recognition, but it made me suspicious. That night, I couldn't stop thinking that something was wrong. My wife and I usually keep our devices unlocked for transparency, so this felt off. The next day, when my wife asked why I couldn't sleep, I mentioned her locked phone. She said she locks it because the kids often play with her phone, but she avoided eye contact, which made me even more suspicious. The following day, I asked my middle daughter about the playdates at Alm's house. She excitedly told me about the fun they had, but hesitated when she mentioned that sometimes Mom and Alm would go into a room and lock the door, or they'd go out with Alm's sons without me knowing. In a sheepish tone, she revealed that Mom had instructed her not to talk about it because they were engaging in adult games with Alm in the room. I was furious. I confronted my wife, and she was taken aback. Despite her attempts to deny it, my daughter recounted the things she overheard from the time in the room, and my wife finally admitted to it. She claimed it was meant to be a one-time occurrence, but she confessed to loving him and also loving me. I called her out on this claim. While she insists she loves me, she's also confessed to loving him. She argues that she doesn't want to tear our family apart. But to me, that translates into accepting an open marriage as she refuses to end her relationship with this man or file for divorce. It's clear to me that she can't have her cake and eat it too. I have a meeting scheduled with a lawyer today to initiate the divorce process, and I've informed both my in-laws and my parents about the situation, have expressed their willingness to support me in any way possible in this difficult situation. They've even expressed a desire for me to have full custody of the children. I understand that this might be a challenging outcome to achieve unless my wife willingly relinquishes her parental rights, which seems unlikely given the circumstances. She has knowingly exposed our kids to this deception, and the involvement of the other man complicates matters further. The Alm's character is concerning as well. He has a history of alcohol problems, manipulation, anger issues, control, and deep insecurities, having gone through 2 divorces himself. I'm genuinely concerned about having my children around such a negative influence. This concern is shared by my in-laws, who are familiar with him as he used to live nearby. The desire for me to pursue full custody stems from their understanding of his character. I'm grappling with the decision of whether to disclose the truth to my children, while I'm afraid of them harboring negative feelings towards their mother. I also believe that honesty is the best approach. Simultaneously, I'm cautious about how this could be portrayed during the divorce proceedings, potentially being seen as an attempt to alienate my spouse. Many around me, including my in-laws, are urging me to talk to the kids about the situation, albeit in a simplified manner. How do you share with a 5 and 8-year-old that their mom has developed strong feelings for a friend's dad, which has led to the decision that mommy and daddy can't stay married? I'm aware my wife prefers to shield them from this truth, but I believe she's already indirectly exposed them to it, making it uncomfortable to keep secrets. Coming from a broken family myself, I've always wanted to spare my kids from that pain. I wanted to make the right choice, but people change, and that's something we can't control. My main concern is making sure my kids aren't hurt. I talked to my lawyer, who has 30 years of experience, and she advised me not to seek revenge, but to focus on living a good life. I know that's important, but I find it hard to lie to my kids because I've always been honest with them. I think I need to tell my 15-year-old some of the truth, without all the details. He's very observant and has always asked tough questions, like when he asked about where babies come from when he was 5. I'm sure he'll ask about this situation too, especially as time goes on. My main concern is my kids' well-being, and I'm ready for them to need therapy to help them through this. It's noticeable that the other man struggles to maintain relationships. His immaturity is evident, making it puzzling why my wife is drawn to him. I stumbled upon an old phone of hers and discovered their texts and pictures. It's not a matter of size. He's rather inadequate in that aspect. He doesn't possess greater financial resources or any noteworthy attributes. I've accumulated substantial evidence since learning about the situation. I've been documenting everything and waiting for the right moment to utilize it. I've already taken steps like canceling cards and separating finances. Additionally, I've consulted with a lawyer and paid the retainer to proceed with the legal process. Story 2. Unraveling a disturbing situation, I'm truly uncertain about how to approach the situation I'm facing. I'm a 37-year-old man married to my wife for 7 years. We've maintained strong communication, working through our disagreements and conflicts. Despite my best efforts, my wife has always remained reserved. She's self-conscious about her body due to her size, but I've consistently assured her of her beauty and my desire for her. This detail feels important in light of the situation at hand. My wife is a teacher, which makes her schedule busy during the school year and allows for a 3-month break over the summer. Around a month and a half ago, she started displaying signs of distance and withdrawal. While I'd adhere to my typical 9 to 5 summer schedule, she'd stay up late on her phone while I went to bed. She seemed constantly engrossed in her phone or spent her time with her mother. Our interactions became less frequent, and she often stayed at her mother's house until I was ready for bed. Sometimes I'd wake up in the middle of the night to use the bathroom and find my wife texting on her phone. Usually around 1 or 2 a.m. this happened on and off for about a month. Then, about 2 weeks ago, I got an unexpected Facebook message from a woman I didn't know. She said she was the wife of a man who was getting close to my wife on Facebook Messenger. Curious, I checked the man's profile and found him on my wife's friend list. The strange thing was, he lived about 300 miles away. When I got home from work that day, I found the courage to talk to my wife about it. I relayed the information the other woman had shared, revealing that she was the wife of the man in question. My wife's response was a hushed admission that she had indeed been communicating with him, but she insisted that nothing inappropriate was taking place. Our conversation continued, and I eventually inquired if she would be willing to let me see their conversations. This was a significant request since trust had always been a cornerstone of our relationship, and neither of us had felt the need to snoop through each other's phones before. After some resistance, arguments, and more of her assurance that it was all innocent, she finally relented and allowed me to read the messages. I started scrolling back to the beginning, tracing their interactions from the start of the summer. Their conversations began quite innocuously, as they were rekindling an acquaintance from their mutual friends back in college. Their initial interactions revolved around polite greetings and catching up. However, after a few days of these typical exchanges, the man began steering the conversation towards intimate subjects. He recounted a steamy encounter with his wife as a segue to probing my wife about her own sexual preferences. What caught me off guard was her willingness to engage in such discussions. Who usually struggled to discuss such matters with me, was surprisingly open with this guy. They delved into topics like their preferences, whether she preferred being shaved or not, and even if she liked certain acts. These were subjects she wouldn't even broach with her friends. To my astonishment, their conversations escalated further. He initiated sending her explicit pictures, and even requested similar images from her. While I never witnessed any of these images in the chat, I am aware that messages can be deleted. However, there was no indication of missing messages in the conversation. Whenever he sent a picture, she kept the conversation going casually, avoiding his request for pictures in return. Even though I was shocked by her explicit responses and the nature of their conversation, I was still taken aback. Naturally, she tried to downplay the whole situation. I asked if I could check the rest of her phone to see how far things had gone, given the seriousness of what had happened. She quickly refused and got defensive. A few days later, my curiosity and paranoia got the better of me. One night, while she was asleep, I couldn't resist looking into it further. I searched her phone and found that she had Snapchat installed, but it was logged out and had no login details, as if it had never been used. However, I found around 40 pictures in her camera roll, showing her in lingerie and a few nude photos. What shocked me the most was that I had never seen these images before, and they had all been captured within the past 20 days. The exchanges with the other man abruptly ceased, at least on Messenger. I've held off on confronting her because I haven't found concrete evidence of anything beyond just conversations. So I've been grappling with this dilemma recently. Over the past 2 weeks, she's taken a dramatic turn in behavior. She's become remarkably flirty, bubbly, and even more overtly sexual with me than she has been in the past year. She sent me suggestive texts, including some of the photos I had previously discovered. She even attempted to entice me to leave work early for some fun. The situation has me utterly baffled. A part of me is drawn to embrace this newfound energy, while another part of me suspects it might be a facade or a diversion from something deeper. Consequently, I've chosen to play along and explore this unexpected behavior further. Our intimate life reached an intensity it had never reached before. My wife seemed to go to great lengths to satisfy me, Yet I couldn't shake the feeling that she was pretending, perhaps in an attempt to ease my suspicions. While I had no qualms about our physical connection, I sensed that her strategy wasn't fooling me. I decided to take a day off work to investigate whether an affair might be happening during her school hours or her commute back home. The following day, I discreetly followed her to work. Around midday, I observed her leaving her workplace and took this as my cue to proceed. I trailed her car for about a mile until she pulled into a motel parking lot. I patiently waited a few minutes for her to enter the reception area before I stepped out of my car. Wearing an overcoat, I maintained a safe distance between us. She told the receptionist she was meeting someone and was given a room number. A couple of minutes later, I followed her to the room. Unfortunately, my suspicions were confirmed, and I was shocked. I took a moment to process what was happening. Then, I knocked on the door, and a man wearing only a towel answered. I pushed past him and saw my wife in bed, trying to cover herself with a blanket. She stammered, asking why I was there, which seemed like a painfully naive question. I just shook my head in disbelief, left the room, and drove home. Once I got home, filled with anger, I quickly packed my wife's belongings and put them outside. I contacted her family and told them what happened, and they begged me to try to talk things over. A few hours later, my wife came back, begging me not to give up on our marriage. But it was too late. She had already destroyed the foundation of our relationship. I asked her to leave and blocked her on all communication platforms. My next step is to consult a divorce lawyer to start the process of ending our marriage for good. Third story. My partner 21F and I 23M work in the same warehouse and have graveyard shifts. Before bed, we usually FaceTime to talk about our day and say goodnight. But not tonight. She thinks I'm asleep, but I had to write this post to get things off my chest. We share our locations on our phones, and I don't usually check hers. Tonight, though, I noticed it. We had planned to FaceTime at a certain time, but when I messaged her to see if we were still going to call, I saw that her notifications were silenced. We both have iPhones. It seemed odd, so I checked her location, and she was at Starbucks. I thought, oh, she's just getting something for tonight. A few minutes later, I checked again to see if she was almost home, but this time she was parked about a block away from her house for about an hour. I got a bit nervous and started wondering if she was with someone. After an hour, she finally texted me, saying, "Sorry, my love, I did want to talk tonight, but my mom had me washing and folding laundry, so I got distracted." What should I think about this? Should I bring it up with her tomorrow at work? How should I start a conversation about it? Or should I just ignore it and keep going with the relationship?